Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Madeline Gustafson, and I'm a project coordinator at the National Environmental Health Association. I'd like to welcome you to the EPA's report on the environment, overview, and website demonstration webinar. A few Zoom reminders before we get started. Please submit any questions that you have throughout the presentation in the Q&A box, and any other questions or concerns, please submit in the chat box. I'd like to welcome Bailey Stearns. Bailey is a science and communication specialist in the EPA's Office of Research and Development.
Hi everyone, thanks for joining us today. I am Bailey Stearns, as Maddie said, and I'm going to be introducing our speaker today. Dr. Pat Murphy, pronouns she, her, is an environmental epidemiologist and environmental health scientist with our Center for Public Health and Environmental Assessment here at EPA's Office of Research and Development. She received her PhD and MPH degrees in chronic disease and environmental epidemiology from the University of Pittsburgh's Graduate School of Public Health. During her 35-year career at EPA, Dr. Murphy has contributed her epidemiologic and public health expertise to a wide spectrum of agency problems, including health effects from drinking water disinfectant byproducts, risk trade-offs from municipal drinking water system exposures, novel applications of epidemiologic data and information to environmental health risk analysis problems, and the development and interpretation of environmental health indicators. Dr. Murphy is currently the technical lead for our report on the environment scientific indicators and the co-lead for the ROE human exposure and health theme. Thanks for joining us today, Pat. The floor is now yours.
Great. Well, thank you very much. And I also want to give my thanks to everybody who worked to arrange today's webinar. Audrey Keenan and Maddie Gustafson from NEHA, and Bailey and Anna Champlin, my ROE colleague, both here in Office of Research and Development at EPA. You know, it was funny when the opportunity for this first came up. I started to think a little bit about what I would present and, you know, kind of the pieces of information and how I, you know, interweave things and that. And it occurred to me when I was doing this that way back in 1990, I was invited to give a presentation at the annual NEHA meeting conference. And that was on, the topic was on chlorinated drinking water exposure and bladder cancer, which was work I did in the earliest part of my career at EPA. And now, 31 years later, I'm giving another presentation to NEHA on work I'm doing at the other end of my career here at EPA. And I just thought that was sort of an interesting presentation arc with NEHA involved there. So I just thought I'd share that little tidbit with you here today. So, you know, and also additionally, it's an extremely busy week in public health area. It's Air Quality Awareness Week. It's Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month. And it's also, very importantly, Public Service Recognition Week. And so I just want to say to all the public servants in the audience, let's give yourself and your colleagues a round of congratulations for your service. And let's get started. So first, very importantly, share my disclaimer here that, you know, what's being presented here today is Pat Murphy's doing here, and you know, I'm not here to reflect the views or policies of EPA here. So you know, these are two separate things here, and very importantly here, you know, the EPA's report on the environment, it's an agency-wide program, but it's managed and actually funded by the Office of Research and Development. And in ORD here, I am part of a team. You know, I'm not the only person here involved in this project. There's a lot of people involved here that make this whole thing go and keep it running here. And it's a great team of folks here. And I'm very happy to be working with all of them. You know, the numbers and talents involved in this program over time have you know, grown and gone tiny. And at one point it was only me and a postdoc working on things, and you know, but now we're back to full force, and it's really exciting to be at this point. So I just want to thank my team. And we also have a great group of technical support contractors from Eastern Research Group who support us in this work, and they're quite invaluable to the project. So thanks to everybody involved there. So kind of to get everybody oriented here, I thought I'd just give just a little bit of, you know, EPA is a very large organization here, and this is an organizational structure of EPA here. We have what I call 11 programmatic offices and then 10 regional offices down here at the bottom, regions 1 through 10, everybody reporting back to the Office of the Administrator. And over here, I'm part of the Office of Research and Development, and this is where, you know, I said the management function of the ROE program lies in the Office of Research and Development. Now, within the Office of Research and Development, this is here's our organization chart for ORD. We have an assistant administrator here, and then there's a variety of policy and other administrative functions that come directly out of that office. But importantly, there's also 4 centers, which is where all the science gets done in ORD. And to get that science done, we also have 6 national research programs here: air and energy, chemical safety for sustainability, health and environmental risk assessment, homeland security, safe and sustainable water resources, and sustainable and healthy communities. Now, the research programs, they in conjunction with the scientists and managers and others from inside and outside of EPA, they help to kind of define the, identify the research that's going to be done, help to plan it, and then also are involved in the implementation of that. So for the purposes of the ROE program, I'm in the Center for Public Health and Environmental Assessment, and where the program is housed, and our funding comes from the Sustainable and Healthy Communities program here. So yeah, I just want to focus on the left side of the slide here for a minute here. First, it's EPA's mission here. So, the work that we do in ORD is all focused on helping EPA to carry out its mission, which is to protect human health and the environment. And to accomplish this, we engage in a variety of activities, a couple of which are very relevant to ORD, such as studying environmental issues, teaching people about the environment, and publishing information. So I also went to NEHA's website to check out the information they were presenting up there. And I saw this cool graphic, so I downloaded it to use in my presentation on environmental health. And it talks about how it saves lives, saves money, and protects your future, which is very true. But also NEHA's mission statement was there, and it's to build, sustain, and empower an effective environmental health workforce, which is extremely important. And if you look, whoops, why does it keep doing that? If you look at the graphic, a couple of the things that you see here is that some of the information that's presented here is actually information that was generated by EPA as well as other federal agencies. And and some of the statistics are actually some of the data that we report out in the report on the environment. As it says in the graphic here, environmental health is profoundly local. And it's the folks that engage through NEHA here that, this local environmental health workforce is really what helps to make the world go around, because without those activities, those are the folks that are on the ground daily, going in, doing inspections, doing other things like that too. So they're really a way, and our missions are heavily intertwined. And I just wanted to acknowledge that we're all kind of in this together, and we all play different roles, but we're all kind of trying to do the same thing, protecting human health and the environment. So yeah, well, EPA has a mission statement and strategic goals, getting back to the mission here. So to carry out our mission, EPA every few years puts out like a 4 to 5 year horizon strategic goals and research plans and strategic plan for the agency. And the current one that we're in here is talking about a cleaner and healthier environment, sets 3 main goals here: a cleaner and healthier environment, developing more effective partnerships with states, localities, and tribes, and then producing greater certainty, compliance, and effectiveness with the rule of law. And so then as part of the strategic goals, one of the things that you'll see in the strategic plan is that there's a lot of talk and mention of and what I call the continuing need for reporting of status and trends. And EPA's strategic plan, currently it identifies, what the plans do is they identify the measurable environmental and health outcomes the public can expect from EPA. And it also describes how the agency intends to achieve those results. And then the strategies that are designed to achieve the goals and objectives are informed by the gathering of evidence related to the environmental problems and evaluating the effectiveness of those strategies that the programs use. And additionally, the agency is also very concerned with ensuring that all parts of society have access to accurate information to effectively participate in managing protecting human health and environmental risks. And the things that I've called out in the blue text here are all things that really relate back to having measurable indicators and indices and credible data and information to help make the world go round. And that's part of the role that the Report on the Environment program plays at EPA. So that was just a little bit to set the stage there for you. So what we're going to talk about today, what I hope you'll learn is, what is the ROE, what's its origin, where did it come from, and how has it evolved over time. I'm going to also give a bit of a demonstration of the website, run you through a few highlights of things and how to easily access and navigate some of the resource there. And then I'm going to touch a bit on, at the end there, how can I use the ROE indicators and information in my work? The ROE is primarily focused at the national level, but there's very numerous applications for that type of information, as I'm sure many of you already know. And we will have time for discussion and questions at the end. So let's move right along here then. So EPA's Report on the Environment program. What is it? The program is designed to provide environmental policy decision makers and others with scientifically defensible, up-to-date, objective, and relevant indicators, and importantly, indicator-based products that are of national importance for protecting human health and the environment. The core of our work does really revolve right now around the indicators, which is the reporting of the trends and the development of the indicators and the reporting of the trends here. And these are all supposed to be on these related to important issues to EPA. Now, part of the reason for producing this information is to help inform EPA priorities, inform the development of and agency activities, and also to communicate with the public. Now, over time, different administrations have different priorities in that. So, how the information is used will vary over time. But our job as ORD researchers and data providers is to, continue to present, relevant factual information and put it out there in an objective way. And that's what we strive to do with the Report on the Environment program. So what's a little bit of the history of the program here? The ROE has been around for 20 years now this year. Hard to believe when I think about that. But it began back in 2001 as an initiative of EPA Administrator Christy Whitman. And again, it was done for the purpose of informing EPA priorities and assessing mission success. Now, when it started, this was a cross-agency project. It was done in a very short period of time. They were like, hey, let's see what we can get done here, gang, and round up the troops here. And it was a tremendous effort that was launched in order to get that done. And a lot of it was based on the use of existing information at the time, in order to kind of pull something together, something credible together, that could meet the deadlines that were imposed at the time. And what that resulted in was, in 2003, was what has been forever known as the 2003 draft ROE was released as a published report on status and trends. And that was the first iteration of the ROE. Now, after that effort, we took a step back, and it was reviewed by EPA Science Advisory Board, as well as additional outside groups and also other groups within EPA too. But the idea being, what are ways in which we can to do this better as we move forward? What are changes that we can make to this program and continually evolve it and make it better to continue to meet EPA's needs here? And that was at a point where we kind of did a step back and developed a lot of protocols and definitions and criteria and things such as that, and standard operating procedures. So we, have those things in place as we try to move the program forward. So after a big revisiting of everything after the 2003 report, this resulted in what was the next iteration, was the 2008 Report on the Environment. And that was released as a published report, a hard copy published report on status and trends. And then later that year, there was actually an electronic version that was put out as well. And that was more, at the time, kind of state of the art at the time, but it was more sort of the transfer of that information in a digital format onto the internet, the web. So, and once again, after the 2008 iteration, we did the Science Advisory Board review. We did another step back. We got a lot of more input on a lot of topic areas and how things might be able to change. And this resulted in us moving into a fully electronic environment to the website that we currently have. And in 2015 is when we released the fully updated and revised, and now web-based presentation of status and trends. And this was a really important move because it gave the program and EPA, it allowed for greater transparency in what was going on. You know, it's all out there on the web. Everybody can access it. You can get the data that was involved in the generation of the graphics and the information that went into the production of it. And it also gave us the ability to, you know, using the web and electronic technologies to create you know, use new software packages that were now out and allowed us for interactive capabilities with the graphics. So the user it could be more of an interactive experience for the user. So, you know, that got launched in 2015. And we've continued updating all the indicators as new data become available. We've done all this in the background, and we're continuing to do that today, actually. But again, we took another step back here and sort of revisited things. And one of the focuses then was like, how can we continue to make this a useful product for the agency? How can we enhance its utility to internal EPA users here? So that we the program developed a strategic plan to help advance this decision-making, planning, and communication aspects. And currently now in 2020 here, we're basically in the implementation phase of this newer strategic plan, trying again, as I said, to continually evolve the program and to continue to enhance its usefulness to the agency and the information that's provided to the public. So again, just a couple of high points here. What are some of the things that are going on as we're evolving the program? I said we had a new strategic plan. Well, you know, our mission does remain, our core mission is, you know, providing the indicators here, reflecting the status and trends of national level importance. And again, I just want to remind folks that, you know, the EPA is primarily of national level endeavor here. And what we provide here is really a high level view. The focus of the ROE is on breadth, not necessarily depth. There's you know, we want to bring a broad spectrum of indicators across a variety of topical areas, and that's what we've done. And there's other places in EPA and elsewhere where you can go, and we do provide information linking you out there. You know, if you want to really dig in on a specific topic, for example, like climate change, EPA often has a climate change report that has like 30 or 40 indicators there. You know, so we provide those linkages. We bring highlights from some of those things into the ROE and put it all together in one place that allows folks to look at it that way. And again, our focus remains on informing the public as well as EPA. Now, part of the evolution to continue to enhance its utility is right now we're in the process of trying to, we're expanding the ROE scope, the original scope beyond what we always call just the facts. The ROE, when it was designed, was our scope and mission was to, you know, put the facts out there. And we want observable trends, you know, objective trends, you know, no spin, no nothing, no interpretation. Let's just get the data, get the information out there. We know it's rigorous. The public can believe what they're seeing, and let folks draw their conclusions from that. Well, you know, to make it more useful and you know, used in for a variety of other purposes, we're now we're building an analytics, what we're calling an analytics component, and working with our program offices. You know, we're looking into kind of, you know, exploring more, how can we make more of the data and information that we already have in the ROA. And, you know, we're starting at a point where we're going to start looking into selected trends that are out there and, you know, start digging in more deeply into the reasons behind those trends and trying to look at some of the causal connections and become more analytic in the approach that we have there. And we're still going to maintain the core objective, you know, which is the reporting of the indicators, but we're going to enhance that information in a variety of ways that we're currently exploring. And along with that, we're also looking at, you know, ways to kind of package and disseminate that information, because it is different than what we're packaging currently. And again, as always here, our focus here is on increasing relevance to internal EPA users, which in turn will, you know, provide better information for the public too. So I talked a little bit earlier about, you know, establishing kind of standard operating procedures for the program. And one of the things that was done back in the construction of the 2008 report was to come up with a very focused and structured definition for what is an ROE indicator and what were the criteria for those indicators there. And basically what we were trying to do is get the focus on numerical values, you know, of you know, pressure, states, and condition, you know, of human or ecological condition over over specific geographic domains whose changes over time, represented trends to what was actually going on in the environment or human health. And we also developed criteria for the indicators here that are, pretty obvious right now when you look at them, but 20 years ago, folks weren't always thinking about data and information in the way we do now. And it was very important to establish these firm criteria for, how the underlying data were characterized. We wanted folks to know they were characterized by sound collection, data collection and management and quality assurance procedures. They were timely and, described changes in trends, and they were representative target populations. We wanted the focus to be on the data that was being presented, not where that information came from. When you saw it, we wanted folks to know this was good stuff. We had already vetted it, and you can believe what you're seeing when we put it out there. So what kind of indicators do we have in the ROE? Well, this figure actually was constructed way back when. I actually don't even remember now who did this, but it was a very helpful thing to do because it helped in the creation of the ROE definition and criteria. And what you can see here is that we call these levels of indicators, and they range from level 1 to level 6, with level 1 being level 1 and 2 being basically like administrative measures, administrative actions. How many permits did you issue? How many things such as that. How many Superfund sites did we count in New Jersey? Things such as that. What it's shown is across here is that the ones at the lowest level 1 and level 2, which are administrative measures, they're the ones that are easiest to come by. There's a lot of data available on that stuff, but in terms of it being really informative to what's going on in the environment, it's much less informative that way. So the ROE focuses on levels 3 through 6, indicators on levels 3 through 6, and 3 and 4 are indicators that basically get at what's the condition, what's the state, what's going on out there, what's the stuff that's out there in the environment. And then level 5 and 6 is basically look at these are the things that we're hoping to change by changing what's going on in levels 3 and indicators in level 3 and 4. If we reduce the amounts of emissions in something, then we hope that's going to result in improved conditions, environmental conditions. And then when the conditions improve too, humans will be exposed to less, and then ultimately we'll have less disease and risk and health outcomes and ecological impacts. So that's sort of the logic behind some of the thinking here. But the focus of the ROE indicators is on indicators at this level. So now moving to the report on the environment itself, how do we organize the information that's in this website and this report? We have 3 overarching organizing structures here. We have the themes, what we call ROE questions or topic areas, and then indicators. Now the themes, there's 5 main themes: air, water, land, human exposure and health, and then ecological condition. And then what we did, we had these theme areas then for them. So for each theme area, EPA program offices were asked, the ROE is actually constructed around a series of 23 questions which relate to these topical areas. And this was done, as I said, in development with the program offices. And I was like, what's the information that you need, what's important for you to know so you can carry out your mission? And so this resulted in a series of 23 questions, and they all take a similar form and construct, and which follows basically, to use this example, what are the trends in outdoor air and effects on human health and the environment? And all the questions follow that same basic construct. So then we have 23 different questions in these topical areas. And then after those were put out there, then indicators were developed and suggested and brought in, with the idea being that the information provided by the indicators is designed to help get some answer these ROE questions that we've posed out there. So that's the basic organizing structure of the report. And let's see here. Now here, just to show you a little bit, a little more detail specific here, using the air theme as an example. And like I just said, the theme is air. And then the question, here's the outdoor air quality question. What are the trends in outdoor air quality and effects on human health and the environment? And then here's the other 2 questions for that theme area. And then here I'm just showing the indicators that we have that are helping to answer the outdoor air quality question here, and the greenhouse gas question here, and the indoor air quality question here. And if you're interested, the indicators that are in bold are indicators that are based on EPA data. The others are based on data from other primarily federal sources, and again, well-vetted sources, and that all that meet the ROE definition and criteria. Okay, I also have I put this slide in here too as a little bit of an extra. You know, the agency has fortunately returned to a focus on environmental justice, and along with that, you know, folks have asked, you know, gee, what do you have in the ROE that relates to environmental justice? And we, you know, we don't have a specific environmental justice theme or anything such as that. But with the human health and exposure information, one thing that we have done from the beginning is to recognize, you know, folks that work in health understand that, you know, a national level piece of information is important and is informative. But we also know, as epidemiologists, that you know, there's a lot of variability, and these outcomes vary by person, place, and time, and it's important to reflect that. So we, in the health theme, have always been brought it wherever possible. We've reported out the indicators with breakouts, always by age and sex wherever possible, but also race and ethnicity, in some cases just race, and in some cases race and Hispanic origin. So I just put this in there because folks had been interested. So although we're not addressing, you know, environmental justice per se as a whole entity, one thing we can do, at least with the health information, and is to look at disparities in some of these outcomes that we're reporting on, and that's a very important thing to do. So, you know, I just put that in there for your reference purposes, so that is available, and you know which ones do report out by the different variables. Let's see, what do we got next here? Okay, so as I said, you know, the report on the environment is primarily a national level, got a national level focus, but we do have a lot of indicators that also have, that we present with a variety of different subnational breakdowns. And here's just some of the ways that we've done that. And we have a bunch of indicators here that we also report out by EPA region, which some folks have found very informative. In some cases, certain indicators aren't as informative that way, but we were able to do that. And so we do report several of the indicators also by, you know, what are the values by in the different EPA regions. Another subnational breakdown we use are other boundaries, such as East Coast, West Coast, for example, the various ecological, what are they called, the areas, ecoregions of the United States, things such as that. There might be some very specific areas too there. So we have indicators that reflects these other subnational boundaries. We also have 5 area specific indicators that we have here, like the Gulf of Mexico and Long Island Sound, Chesapeake Bay, specifically looking at manganese in air concentrations in region 5. And then these non-endogenous benthic species in the Pacific Northwest. And then lastly, we also present information here by, we have a bunch of indicators that have interactive maps associated with them. I think there's 11 of them there. The utility of that is that you can explore and zoom the maps in, I think, every case there. And what you can do is zoom down or zoom up to regional and state and county levels in some cases too. And what you're seeing is you're not seeing county level data per se or summarized on that basis, but what you're able to see is that, you know, how maybe that acid deposition might vary when you're really focusing down there. What are those levels there? And you can focus in some cases and see where specific monitors were and what the data points for those specific monitors. So there's some cases where the report on the environment is able to provide that information. And I'll show you 1 or 2 examples of that when I give the web demo here in a few minutes. Let's see, what do we have next? Okay, well, I'm actually about ready here to move into the demo. I'll just skip these slides. I put these in there, so, you know, if you go back later, you can kind of help reference some of the things I'll be pointing out in the demo area there, and the explore the indicators. So let me just move into the web demonstration now. Give me a second to change screens. There. and bring this up. And let me get a quick drink of water here. Okay, so this is good. Good timing here so far. Alrighty, so this is our report on the environment website, and I don't know how to make this thing get out of the way up at the top, but that's not really that important. If you're actually seeing that, I don't know. But we provide the link to the ROE in multiple places throughout things here. But this is our main landing page here. I just want to point out a few of the features here. You know, when you come to the page, it's down here. We have, you know, all the different theme areas, as well as the question and topic areas here as well. These are all interactive links. If you click here, it'll take you to the air page. Here, it'll also do the same thing. Here, it'll take you to the specific question or topic page here too. And I'll do that in a minute or two here. But I just wanted to point out a couple other things here on the page, is that we also have some other user resources, including a glossary and a guide to the ROE. So that's something useful if you're interested in that. But one of the other things here too is this little tab area here where it talks about learn about the ROE, and there's information pages here that talk about the ROE and the ROE program. It talks about things that I've talked about today, like the development of the definition and criteria for indicators, you know, where the questions come from, things such as that, just answering some basic questions about, you know, the ROE program and that. But a great resource, I think, is this history of the ROE page. And if you go there, it provides, it'll give you links to these older hard copy documents that are not easy to come by anymore. Those are out there. It also provides links to all our Science Advisory Board reviews and what the responses were and some of the peer reviews that we did with the indicators. And also in there, there's also a place where, you know, sometimes we actually have to what we call retire an indicator for a variety of different reasons, most commonly being that the data collection effort has ceased for whatever reason, and we can no longer update the indicator. So what we end up doing is retiring the indicator. And you know, we have a place there that for retired indicators, and it shows you all the indicators that have appeared in the ROE over time, and if they had gotten retired, the reason for their retirement. And for the ones that occurred after 2008, we actually provide a PDF version of the last available edition of that indicator. So if there's an indicator that you knew was in the ROE and you're going in there and you can't find it, take a look in the history of the ROE page and you might find it there. Just thought I'd point that out, because a lot of times folks get really focused on just trying to find indicators and don't look at the rest of the contextual information that we provide, which there's quite an abundance. So that said, one of the things that folks really want to focus on is the indicators. So let's go there and do that. You know, can I get this little thing off of my page? Make it go away.
I don't think that we can see.
No, but it's blocking my screen with my tabs that I had set up all the
oh, I see what you're
pages
saying.
on there. But I can we'll deal with it. Yeah, I'm not, whatever. So yeah, if I hesitate a little between things here, that's because I'm trying to just find the page, because I had them all pulled up ahead of time here.
No worries, it looks great.
Okay, good. So anyway, there's a bunch of different ways you can get to the indicators here, just from the main page alone here. You can, you know, again, if you click on all these pages, if you go there to the topical pages, there'll be a listing of the indicators associated with that topic right there on the page. There's also here exploring the ROE indicators. This here, we have a featured indicator here too, where you can go there and learn about the indicator. But we have this explore the indicators. And let's just go there right now and explore the indicators. We'll pop you over this way. I do have, can reach that page there too. So this is a great page to keep in mind. If you're looking for the ROE indicators in a fast way and you want to sort them and figure out certain things and only pull up certain ones of them and have them available there, this is the place to go, the Explore the Indicators page. What you get when you come to this page, what this has is a a sortable, navigable, filterable file, interactive file here, that table that lists all the indicators. It tells you the indicator with a hot link, the years of data available for that indicator that we're reporting on. Importantly, what are the theme areas and the associated topics that that indicator is part of, and then the year that it was last updated here in the ROE. And you can sort this out. The default when you come to the page is alphabetical. You can flip that back and forth here too. There's a last updated here. These are we just updated asthma for Asthma Quality Week. Just last week we got that pushed out there, and there's we have another new set of indicators ready to be pushed out in a couple of weeks too. So next time you come here, you'll see this change where other newer indicators that have recently been updated will show at the top of this list here. Whoops, that said, let's go back to there. But this is a nice feature here too, because again, the default when you come to the page is that it shows every indicator here, all 83 of them enlisted here. But if let's say you you only want to look at, let's just because I'm Pat Murphy, I just want to look at the health indicators. So I'm going to click off all these other tabs here, and then that's going to leave me with a listing of all the indicators in the human exposure and health theme area here. And there they are, they're listed alphabetically, and you can still play around with that list. And we see that down the bottom, it'll tell you there's 1 to 19 of 19 entries. We have 19 indicators there. So that's a nice way. You can say, oh, I want to just maybe look at, I don't know, I don't care about those. Let me just look at the disease and condition indicators and outdoor air quality, because I want to kind of pull a couple of those up together. So you can do that. And here you are with the compendium of indicators there that you just selected out yourself there. So it's a great way to, to explore through and to look at things. One of the things that I like to do is if I'm going to be looking at a bunch of different indicators and I kind of know what they are ahead of time, I'll come here to the list, I'll click on this and I'll right click things, and I'll open up links in new tabs, and I'll just pull up all the tabs there. So I'll have all the indicators that I'm interested in looking at ready available up there, and I don't have to flip back and forth between the list and that. So it's kind of a nice and easy way to do that. So let's now I showed you kind of how to get to the indicators here in the easiest way possible. Another thing we can do here is, the nice part here is, let's just go and explore the main air theme area here now. We'll take us there. So now this clicks us over to the report on the environment. This is, as we call it, the air landing page, the main air theme landing page. And I'll just point out a few features here, because every theme page is kind of set up the same way here. When you get there and you see there's a box that has some form of related links. Most of these are in this box are internal to EPA. There are other EPA resources related to the topic area. It just gives you a very brief background about air and its importance in clean air. And then it lists the different ROE questions for that theme area, and it runs you down there. There's the list. You see there's question 1 and question 2, greenhouse gases, and question 3, indoor air quality. And again, it shows you the listing of the indicators, and it also provides an easy way to get directly to that particular topic area. And let's now go to the outdoor air quality topic. So that'll pull us up right there. And again, you also see over here on the left-hand side of the page, there's a navigation bar that you can use too. You click on those and it'll drop down for air. If I click on, I won't do that now because I want to stay on air, but if I click on water, it'll open it up and show all the themes, all the topics associated with water, and same with land and, the other chapters there too, or other themes. So we pulled up the outdoor air quality page, and I'm showing you this because I really want to stress there's a lot of really great contextual information here to support the indicators that we're reporting on. And a lot of folks kind of miss that because they just go and look at an indicator and do whatever, and that's fine too. But if you're looking for information on a variety of different topics, explore what's out there. If you might be pleasantly surprised at what you find here. So on the outdoor air quality page, here's the topics that can be found on the page, and you can easily kind of jump down to that information there, and then you can go back to the top of the page that way. It's set up that way, but it's a lot of great information about the air quality and the types of indicators that we have and what the focus is and some of the findings about that. And also there's a section, this is the air theme is one where we can really do a great job of relating some of the exposures to human health outcomes, because we do have so much data and information there. So we talk about some of that and link you back over to the health indicators there as well. So that's just one example of some of the contextual information that we provide here. So let's go now to one of the indicators, and I can show you. I'm going to show you now just a couple indicators, and the ones I've chosen have been primarily I want to illustrate some of the features of the indicators and some of the interactive graphics. And I did choose air because it's Air Quality Week, and there's also some great things to illustrate here. So this is an indicator page, and they're set up slightly differently. They don't have that left-hand navigation bar because they're using a different type of software. They're not in the other same thing there. So just be aware of that. If you want to, you can get back to the home page and to the Explore the Indicators page at the top of every indicator page here. That was just sort of a structural thing that we were forced into doing. It wasn't necessarily our first choice, but that's what it is. So now you know how to get back to the main page if you need to. But so every indicator has the same basic setup. On the every indicator has one or more exhibits associated with it, and they're shown on the left-hand side of the page when you hit the indicator page. If there's a lot of exhibits, you'll see the scroll bar, and that means go down a little further because they're kind of off of your screen there right now. So then I'll go back to the map here in a second, but so you have your exhibits, and then each indicator has 4 sections of textual information associated with it here too. There's an introduction, which gives you introductory information about the indicator in the topic area. You can just click and those fold up and go back. There's a section on what the data show, and that tells you what the data show, gives you descriptions of the information that's presented in the graphics, and refers back to all the different exhibits that you see there. There's also a limitation section, which is important to put out here. What are some of the limitations of this indicator and its supporting data? There's also a data sources where you can click and link and get back to some of the source data from the indicator. And then for each indicator, we also have a more in-depth technical documentation file that you just click on and pull it up. You can print it out as a PDF file if you want to do that. And it provides in more depth all the information that you see here. They're talking about the indicator, the methodologies used to collect the data, how the indicator was derived, what were the quality assurance measures associated with that, a lot of things that are really important, particularly as a scientist, we want to know that the data that you're viewing is of high quality and replicable. So we'll close that up. Oh, and then you can also pull up the references in a separate window too, and also print those if you care to do that. And then lastly on the page, there's another for more information box here. And in some cases, this is more likely, this will also pull you back to other EPA program sites, but also in some cases, it'll also take you to sites outside of EPA as well for additional information, perhaps even data. And then the last bullet in every box here is where it tells you which question or in topic area it related to, and you can click and that'll take you right back there if you want to do it that way. So I'll quickly show you the graphic here. I love this indicator because it's such a great illustration of how things have improved over time. The visual is very striking, and we actually use that for a lot of exhibits. When we want to tout some of the agency's work here. This is what things looked like back in the 89 to 91 period, and red bad, green good, and here's what it looks like today. And you can't argue with that. That's a great improvement to be seeing there. Well, that's one of the features. You can scroll in and out. You can also make a larger version of the map, pull it up in a larger screen, and again, kind of scroll up and you can see a little better resolution of where the data had come from there. I'll close that. This is another type of graphic from the same indicator here. This is showing the total sulfur deposition here that relates back to the wet sulfate deposition. And this has these little pie charts that you can click on them. And sometimes this happens when you don't have it up there too soon. Click, click, click. there it comes. Sometimes it takes a while to load if you haven't already opened up the page. That's why I had it up there before. But it'll pull up, and this is an example where it shows you the actual data point where that data came from and what the data were for there. And then you can just click it off, and that you can see those little pie charts and whatever there too. So let's see, what were we going to next? Okay, I gotta run over here real quick because I can't. I was gonna take you here. Let's go see blood lead. This is another different type of a graphic, and I just want to show you some of the features of this kind. This is a bar chart here. Let me show you it shows blood lead concentrations for the population age 1 and older by race and ethnicity. And this is nice. This is data comes from NHANES. A lot of you, I'm sure, are familiar with that. And one thing I didn't show you on the first graphic is that every exhibit has these icons on the side over here. And the first one tells you, if you need some help, if you pull that up, it'll open up a PDF file and it'll show you how to use the interactive exhibits in the ROE. It'll point to the different features in that. You can also click on here and save a PDF version of the indicator. You can download the individual images that appear in the graphics this way with this clicker. Here you can download the data. We have all the data there available in the CSV files. And then this is a great example where we do have statistical information available. And if you see this icon, if you click on it, it'll attach the error bars to the graph for you. And let me just make this a little. This is another feature. You can click these off and on. You can only show. We're just going to look at blacks and whites right now, and that'll help us to see the screen a little bit better here. But if you scroll over the bars, what you see is it pops up. It shows you what the data is, the year, and the data for that particular point, and shows you all that. And it also shows you the same thing. It'll show you what the error bounds are too. So that's a great way to be clear about what the data are. You don't have to read it right off the side of the graphic. And the graphing program we have here too, which is HiCharts, it allows it's given us the capacity to present multiple pieces of information within the same graphical setting here too. And with the NHANES data, we can show the geometric mean, the 50th percentile, the 75th, the 95th percent, and you can do these toggling off and on with all these different values here. So whatever it is you want to pull up, it's from these, you can choose from this menu, and again, attach the statistical information if you want to do that. And then let me just show you one more here with a slightly different set of features here. I'll show you asthma prevalence, since it is Asthma and Allergy Awareness Month. So here's some good news that's going on in the country here related to asthma in children. I'll show you here is that overall for all kids in the 0 to 17 year age group here over this time frame, actually since 2010, we've had a great, excuse me, let me go back up here. 2010, asthma prevalence has decreased significantly across all the kids in this age group from 2010 to currently. And this is, as reported by CDC, a statistically significant increase in asthma cases. The prevalence of asthma, as well as the prevalence of the attack prevalence. If you do have asthma, how many people are actually having asthma attacks as well. So that's also gone down. So that's really good news. The other side of that coin is that although for the total population of kids there in that time frame, asthma has gone down, there are still disparities that exist. And, they can be really pretty striking here. And this is showing the prevalence, actually the snapshot from the data from 2016 to 2018 that we're showing here, the most recent available data. And let me toggle that off just so we have a little more room here. But what you can see here is there's a striking differences by the racial groups here, where whites and Asians, I'm looking at the current asthma prevalence. Whites and Asians have the lowest rates here too, and blacks and American Indian and Alaskan Natives have the highest prevalence. And it's really, it's almost double the prevalence here from it's a little more than double here. Or I guess it's about double here, 68 versus 140 cases per thousand, and that's really striking. And it's even more striking if you use the Asian as a baseline comparison. So this is just an example of how the data that we do present in the ROE does provide the opportunity to look at some of these disparities, and we do try to present that information wherever possible. So let me hop back over to the PowerPoint now and conclude with the last couple slides. So like I said, that was the demonstration that we had. I just tried to show you some of the features and how to use some of these graphics and what you can get when you go there. I encourage you to go out there and explore and take your time, kind of play around with it. Use your cursor, move it over stuff. Little boxes pop up all over the place, and you might not realize it, but it's like the information you're looking for might be right there. You just need to move your mouse a little bit differently. So I encourage everyone to go out there and do that. So lastly, now here's a couple things. As I said, our focus is primarily at the national level, but so what are some ways that you can use the indicators and information in your work? Well, we think of the ROE as being a one-stop shop for busy people. To our knowledge, it's the only resource in the US right now that provides these national status and trends across multiple themes and media, kind of all in one place. So, it's a great place to go if you're looking for some quick information and want to refresher here. And going along with that, you can go and browse indicators to learn about the environment and health condition. Use it as a refresher. You're having a meeting with your boss or your division director or the EPA administrator. Sit down, scan some indicators quickly, and you can have a few factoids, at the ready to toss around in that meeting. You can also find indicators that relate specifically to your own work and your interests. And importantly here too, one thing that we encourage is because you have all this different type of information here in one place, it's an opportunity to, as we call it, break out of that silo and expand your interest horizon. Maybe you work in water all the time and that's great. But maybe, someday just while you're having lunch, scroll around, take a look, see what's going on in the health indicators, or maybe what's going on in the air indicators, and sort of expand your horizon and make some of those linkages across there. A lot of people do that already, but a lot of people just don't even think about that. They get focused on their own things that they're doing, and so this provides you an opportunity to do that. This is very important, is that national level indicators provide examples for what might be useful for local level reporting. And we know a lot of folks that have said that, they have found the ROE useful for that purpose. And I think it's so important, I repeated it on this slide as well. And the other thing that happens when you are looking at the data that are there for national level indicators is you might get some information about the data availability for different spatial scales. Maybe there is data that's available for more local reporting that you might be interested in, but we just aren't reporting that for any number of reasons. But, so you might be able to find that information when you're looking at the national level data. And this is also very important. It can provide a baseline or reference levels for local comparisons, or, in the absence of local data, it can provide, it's like, well, here's some ballparky figures that we might think it might be. This is what the national level thing is. So if we're going in and looking for something, we could use that as a good substitute in the absence of local data. And then also here, you can download the graphics and use them for reports and presentations. There's a lot of great information in the ROE. Take advantage of it, pull those PNG files out and do that. And then lastly, also, as I said, it's not just indicators. There's an abundance of contextual information that we provide, as well as links to EPA and other external websites and reports. So it's a great resource for a lot of reasons. I'm very familiar, obviously, with all the content of the ROE. I use it all the time for that purpose. It's like, oh, I know exactly where to go to get that CDC report because we use it here, and I just go click, 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 and there it is, instead of having to go down the CDC website and look through stuff and pull up the stats reports and find the one I'm looking for. So it's a great way to do that. Lastly, just to close things out, I'm not going to read off of this whole slide here too, but as part of this, the evolution of the program, what we did in the fall was we went through more of a formal re-engagement with our program office partners. They've been great for years, providing us with the data and information, doing updates, helping us with revisions as needed. But as I said, as we're trying to evolve the program and become more analytical and find other ways in which we can enhance utility to EPA programs, what we did was we stepped back. We interviewed staff from the program offices with the primary focus being on those who are already involved in providing us with indicators, to ask them, it's like, how are we doing here with things? I mean, how are these ROE questions still doing it for you? Do we need to have new ones? Do we have to revise what we're doing? How about the indicators? Are these still the indicators that you want to be reporting out on? Are there new ones? Are there revisions that we need to be looking at? And then we also, very importantly, look for suggestions for these trend investigations, and also cross-media topics. That's another area that we want to expand into, where we can start telling some stories about these cross-media issues that EPA is very heavily involved in. And what's a way that we can use ROE information there. So then we gathered the information. We had a virtual workshop over a 7-week period. It was a lot of intensive work, and we got a lot of great information. We had fantastic participation across the agency, and we're now at a point where we're essentially moving forward with all the stuff that we gathered in the fall, and we've now had a chance to digest it. And really importantly here, we have a new cross-agency steering committee in place. It's going to help us with helping us make some of the decisions that we need to make. We're going to be working with the offices to prioritize the things that we're going to be working on. We're going to focus our near-term efforts around the highest priority issues. We're going to be, there's a lot of things here that we're going to be doing here, expanding our communications plan. We're importantly going to be developing criteria for these trends investigations and cross-media issues. And we're also, there is an additional research going on where Meredith Fry from our ROE staff, she's the lead for this. We're Region 3 primarily, and Region 2 is also interested in trying to explore the same possibility, looking into developing a regional ROE type report. And also, lastly, one of the things we're doing is the ROE, because of its history and the indicators and the processes and protocols and things that we've developed here, we think that there's a role to play here as the agency gets more involved in doing things related to the Evidence-Based Policy Making Act of 2018, which was passed in, I guess, January 2019. And that's an evolving thing. The agency is still figuring out how that's going to work. It's across the federal government, an effort to get focused on data and information collection for the purposes of evidence-based policy making and those kind of things. So we think that there's going to be a role for the ROE in that work over time as it develops. So that said, I'm concluding what I'm saying here today. I thank you all very much for your attention. Again, as I said, I was very pleased to be asked to talk to you today. I hope you've learned a lot about our program. And if you have questions, here's 3 folks that you can contact about it. And we do have some time for questions, so I will take those now. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Dr. Murphy. That was really great, and we appreciate your demonstration. That's super helpful. It looks like at the moment we don't have any questions from the audience, but I have a question for you. I know you mentioned in your presentation that recently the asthma indicator was updated. Any indicators that you will be updating soon that we can look out for?
Yeah, actually, we have 5 of our health indicators that are kind of in the queue. We're just kind of waiting to get final clearance. I believe those are the life expectancy, general mortality, infant mortality, COPD, the chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, and there's one more that I cannot remember right now off the top of my head. Those 5 are definitely in the queue, and we have a few others. I know the Superfund related indicators are also in process to be updated probably within the next month. And actually, very importantly, EPA, as you know, may or may not know, that climate work is back at EPA. There's a renewed focus on those things. EPA has put its overarching climate website back up and updated things there too. But along with that, I mentioned earlier that EPA's actually the Office of Air puts out a specific climate indicators report, and they are actively engaged. They're getting all that work, that whole thing, and their website updated with the latest data available, and that's going to be coming out very shortly, sometime in the month of May. That was the latest I heard. But we share 5 of those indicators, and because of our relationship with the Office of Air, they were not allowed to update their climate indicators over the last several years. So we, worked with them on that too, and we did not update our indicators that we share with them too. So we're looking forward to that, because once they release their updated information and get that out there to the public, then we can follow along shortly thereafter and push out the new data for our 5 or 6 related climate indicators that occur under the greenhouse gas topic area. That's like sea level rise, temperature and precipitation, ocean temperatures, I don't know, there's 5 of them out there too. I don't remember every indicator.
No, that's
yeah,
great.
so a lot of that stuff's going to be coming out lately. And we also have a listserv, and that's been a little inactive the last couple of years as well for a variety of reasons, but we're getting that regenerated, and we're looking to send something out probably within the next month or so. And we're going to talk about some of the updates to the website, and also provide a listing of things that have been updated within, like, say, probably the last 6 to 8 months. And you can sign up for that on the ROE website, actually on that main page in that what's new box. There's a link on there that you can click on, and that'll take you to wherever it takes you to, and you can sign up for that. So we'll be getting ready to send those things out in a little while.
Great. That's great to hear, and excited to see those new topics for the indicators to be updated. We'll be happy to see that. Well, we're at our time, so I want to thank Bailey for joining us, and thank Dr. Murphy for your presentation today, and thank everybody for joining us and attending this webinar, and we hope you have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you all.
Thank you, Maddie, and thank you, Neha, for hosting us.